Hey, this is the Horace Towns, host of the Black Super Friends podcast. Welcome to The Real. Yo, it is me, the Horace Towns, host of the Black Super Friends podcast, joined by my three best friends that you know, internationally known as the Black Super Friends. Tonight I'm going to start at the top with my main man, Super Mario Sr. Please say the senior.
What's going on, family? Happy MLK Day.
All right. Then I'm going to the bottom, the man that you love to hate, the man you hate to love. Chris, the phenomenal, philosophical, entertaining Chris Leo.
Oh man, I love that intro, man. I'm glad to be here. Good to see you guys. Happy MLK Day, which I think should be a national holiday and everybody should be off. But here at the Black Super Friends podcast, we're going to work on that as much as we possibly can. And always remember, kings live forever.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to the bottom. The man in the black shirt got king on his chest. So tonight he's going to confess. The ladies' man.
Ding.
That's it.
That's it. No, I'm just playing. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I just had to throw that one in there. Kings live forever. Like in the words of my illustrious brother down here. Welcome to the Black Super Friends podcast.
Welcome to the real.
Welcome to the real. You gotta start doing that in your sexy R&B voice. Welcome to the real.
I might get a commercial out of you.
Oh man.
We're gonna talk about it at the end of the show. That's gonna be a good recap for the day. I see a lot of people trying to be the date doctor, man. It's pathetic. It's pathetic.
I motivate the thugs.
Yeah, it's like watching a great value version of yourself. It's just disgusting. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and I did not know it was Martin Luther King Day, but I felt his spirit. See how I cleaned that up? Chris and Mario, you guys were very adamant about us making sure that we recognize the King today. I was hearing some of the speeches that he has written. I always tell people that the Martin Luther King I knew and that I actually learned is not what we're traditionally taught. The I Have a Dream speech was probably 4 years before he passed, you know what I mean? But that's all they wanted you to hear is be nonviolent, turn the other cheek. But they didn't tell you about when he got to that point where he said, I think I've integrated my people into a burning building. I think he got, well, I ain't gonna think. I actually studied this for about 2 years where he actually was murdered because he wanted a check. Forget everything else you're saying. You want us to be equal. Give us the money that we deserve so we can go out here and be producers in this country like we used to be. So I wanted to say that it was interesting today to hear his speeches talking about the same things we're talking about today in 2021. That is insane. Zabo, give me what you got, man. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, mine were a little bit more cliche, even though, like what you said earlier today, I saw people dissecting those parts of that I Have a Dream speech that they did not teach us. And it kind of behooved me a little bit. But for me, Dr. King, what stood out for me was the one epitaph that he has that says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. My life has been very controversial. I've read that over and over and over again. I really believe that that's what defines a man, where he stands after he's been sought with whatever it is that life throws at him, how he comes back, his resiliency. So for that, Dr. Martin Luther King, I thank you for it, because that is what sticks out to me more. What about you, Art?
Mario?
Well, I think I'm going to piggyback off of what Horace said to begin the show with. Is, in my research on Martin Luther King, you understand that they tolerated him until he started speaking about equality for blacks and for the poor class people, period. Like when he started ushering in rules and trying to change laws that was going to equip us to make us equal financially, and so we can break generational chains back in those days. That's when he became a real problem. Because see, I believe this world, as in today, they can deal with an emotional, angry Negro, but they can't deal with a smart one with a plan. And I think right now, if Martin Luther King never showed you anything, is that we still need to be together. We still need to have a plan, and smart and brain always going to supersede bronze. The quote that Zay so eloquently spoke on earlier was one of my favorites. Like I live by that. Like you're right, because anybody can. When you up, it's easy to beat your chest. But when you down and you can't see up, and you still hold your head up, that's when you see what kind of man you is. You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing. But another quote that I always my grandma used to say this all the time. It's always a good time to do right. Like it's never a bad time to do what's right. And even in the midst of everything going on, like Michelle Obama said, take the high road. That's what she was really alluding to. That it's always a good time to do right, and it's never a bad time to do right. What you got, Horace?
Well, I wanted to highlight that again. Coming up, man, you heard about Martin Luther King. I Have a Dream. You were told to recite it at school functions. And just like the version of Jesus that you taught, that just give it to God and look into the heavens while somebody's shooting you and killing you. They always give us a passive character to try to embrace. And I always listen, when it came to Martin Luther King, where I heard some of his speeches and I got one saved, when he talked about the money, it wasn't the fact that he boycotted. People don't even understand the boycott. It's that he shut down an economy. People were willing to go to work an hour late. You know what I mean? The boycotts don't mean nothing unless you hit the money. And he shut down the whole industry. So it wasn't a problem until white males at that time and that racist area start losing their jobs. And then
you know what?
Start shutting down. And then the economy, listen, this is what it was about. Actually, when the garbage strikes and those contracts, things went void. The buses, people ain't getting on the bus to go to work. We rather walk together an hour to get that to community. So people don't understand how the boycott work. We say boycott, but did you take the money off the table? That was the thing that killed Martin Luther King about, because he had the blueprint for, and we can't get no money. Y'all won't get our money either. Our black dollars matter, and that's what people be missing all the time.
I was gonna say, with what you were talking about, Horace, I think we always miss it, because we were fighting for black power, and what he was essentially teaching us was we needed black unity first, then we could get the black power because we got it together. So that was just something that I had piggyback took from that too.
But it's still about production and equality. Even on a monopoly board, it's like having one group. Everybody gets to go 3-4 times around the board before you go. So all he's been asking for is equality. Yeah. We know how to produce. We know how to farm. We used to be farmers. Now we consumers. That's the producers are who make the money in this country. So that was the point. Give us the land, give us the money, and then we can do our thing. But every time we start doing our thing, they came and knocked the monopoly board over. Black Wall Street. There were a lot of Black Wall Streets that people don't even know about, but you have to actually read and understand it. I can tell you where Black Wall Street was all over this country with black wealth. North Carolina, Tulsa, you had something, I think it was Pennsylvania, like you had those areas, but we don't even know about it. But if you knew about it, that would inspire more black men to say, we can get this money. You get what I'm saying? So listen, I want to change gears real quick, man, because we had a special show last week.
Christopher.
I didn't get to speak on that.
I think Chris had something on it.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad, Chris.
It's all good. Today we celebrate a great man. And I say that we're celebrating a great man, not a perfect man. I want to go back to what Zay said. I posted this also on my Facebook page or all my social media. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in the moment of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in the time of challenge and controversy. You see, here's the thing. We judge Martin Luther King. We don't judge him like we judge regular other men. We judge Martin Luther King on a different scale. Martin Luther King wasn't a rich man, so we don't judge him on how much money he had, because he wasn't a rich man. We don't judge Martin Luther King on how was he able to pay all the bills, because he wasn't. He had to have help doing that. We don't judge him on being a father simply because he was a purpose-driven man. And when you're a purpose-driven man, certain things you kind of gotta give up, not give up, but you can't be as involved. So he wasn't as involved in his parenting of his kids because of his purpose that he had. Um, Also, we don't judge him on his fidelity because he fell short of that too. Basically, what I'm saying is we judge Martin Luther King the way he told us to judge all men, not by the color of his skin, but by the content of their character. You judge a man by the content of his character, not how much money he has, not where he struggles, but simply by the content of his character. We have a large female base, so we talk a lot about dating. A lot of our subject matter is about dating. So if I was to give any tips, if you ever going to pick a man, when trying to pick a man in the same manner in which you judge Martin Luther King, by the content of his character. Next, I want to give a shout. I know it's Martin Luther King Day, but I also want to give a shout out to Coretta Scott King, because Coretta Scott King was there through all of these things and stuck around and stood by him. I'm pretty sure it was hard on her to have to deal with a man that garners the attention that he garners, and some of the violence and the backlash of what came with that. But she stood by him, and she stood in there. She allowed him to fulfill his purpose on this earth. So I want to give a shout out. If it's Martin Luther King Day, then I want to give a shout out to the king and the queen. That's what I got. Horace, turn your mic on. You are a professional.
Yeah, I am. Listen, Negro, I'm trying to make sure our sound has quality because that is very important to me. I really want to make sure we highlight that. Yeah, he died, and he died for a cause, but that's a tough life to live. Martin Luther King went to college at the age of 15, graduated at the age of 19 from Morehouse College. So to think about the burden that was on his back, at 15, you're going around doing nationwide sermons, you know what I mean? Having a whole movement on your back before you the age of 21, married, kids, like that's a lot, man. And to be honest, like most people, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, these people were fighting for us, and those people oftentimes die without no money and little support. That's the thing that I have to say we got to do better as people of color. We let people go out there and lead, but we don't support them. So, salute to Martin Luther King for that, because, that was not an easy life, especially it was a hard death for this nation. Last week, I want to thank you guys. Last week we did a show with Ivory Shields, who is one of my favorite people. And we got her because she's about to blow up. She has a new media deal, so she'll be coming to different outlets near you. But she decided to do a special show with us last week, and the conversation has always certainly flowed, and it did something for me. You know what I mean? You get a lot of people who are too rough and are too, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but with Ivory, you can have a discussion. She's a life coach, mentor coach, spiritual coach. She's just a coach, but she is someone that you can have authentic conversation with. And I think that's what's best about her. What did you gain from that conversation, or what did you take away? What was memorable about that show, ladies, man?
First and foremost, shout out to Ivory Shields. That was a real good episode. Of our episodes that we did, I did appreciate that one. It was very easygoing, and I thought that it flowed with both us and the commentary of the people that would comment. And so that was definitely what's up. What I did get from her was something that she said, and I believe she was talking to Chris, but I felt like she was talking to me too as well, which was what she said was, for some people, your words are going to be like magic, and for others, they just won't get it. And that did a lot for me, because a lot of times I'm always talking to people, and I always think that I'm talking from a good place inside of my heart, hoping that we can, get through whatever issue or problem and just get it resolved, because I look at myself as a personal problem solver, I feel. But what I did find is that people don't hear what I'm actually saying. So it actually comes across the wrong way. And I'm fighting, trying to help, and they just not getting it. So we end up getting nowhere. And she was saying to just fall back, release and let it go. And understand that, you're not for everyone. And that just spoke to me and have helped me to look at certain situations and just kind of step back and not try to press upon what I think so much so. And this is kind of figuring out what's gonna be best. But that's what I took from the conversation. What about you, Hardy?
Well, I'm Zay, I think we're on the same page tonight. We agreed on the Martin Luther King thing, and we also agree on this. But before we get into that, I want to give an acknowledgement and a shout out. Like I said before, we have a large female fan base here on the show, and they come to support weekly. And so what I would say to them is this: a lot of time when they come not just to hear conversation between four black men and get the education and learn something. A lot of times they come to be disruptive. A lot of times they come to be catty. So a lot of times they come to be, argumentative and disagree and everything like that. So I say I want to give them acknowledgement and give them a name. I call them the Catty Cat Club, Triple C. And you will see them down here in the comment when the things heat up later on. But yes, I want to give a big shout out to the Cat Club. Going on now, moving forward on the Ivory show episode. I agree with Zay. She said something to me that resonated. Every audience is a voice for every audience. So what that means to me is, like you said, my message is not always going to connect with other people. Some people are going to think is rude. Some people are going to think my tone and everything like that. But so it's not always going to connect. But what was funny to me is this. That show was Wednesday, right? The previous show we did was Monday. On that show, the last question I asked was, is it financially a good idea to marry the modern woman? Just as sure as I got that phrase out, the Catty Cat Club was saying, what's your definition of modern woman? Now, as I rewatched that show, I heard Ivory, Ivory referred to the modern man multiple times. And I didn't see one time that a woman asked for a definition. Not one time. You see, what that makes me believe is this. It's not that they are against generalizations. It's just they like to pick and choose what generalization they want to defend and attack. And again, they had no problem and needed no definition about the modern woman, about the modern man, but needed a full-blown definition about the modern woman. So again, I want to give a big shout out to the Catty Cat Club. We can't wait to aggravate you some more, because here on the Black Super Friends podcast, I like to say we are cat lovers, and we love cat, especially some good cat. Mario, what you got? Horace, what you got? Let me talk to you.
Yeah, let Tootie go first. Go ahead.
Tootie, you're a professional.
Turn your mic on.
Boy, we're gonna lose a sponsor tonight.
What? I'm just saying we like cats.
No, I'm talking to Zay.
Him with that mic.
Be professional, man. I'm half tired. It ain't y'all business. Listen, I've made a lot of friends and connections this year throughout podcasting. COVID, just always been open. I think COVID did allow a lot of new faces, new people to get the platform that they deserve. And some people are just truly gifted. So having someone high profile like Ivory come on and do the show and listen to our shows, I thought that was like a big affirmation for us to think that, okay, we're on the right road. We have something to give to the culture. And so, to get her affirmations was good coming from the female perspective. But I think that the best part I got about was being able to have an episode where we talked about real life challenges. I appreciate that Ivory could speak on a topic without bias. And she has a gift where, the discussion that we had was tranquil, but it was heartfelt. And that was the thing that I got from that, being able to have a conversation where it flowed and even calmed some of the peanut gallery down to be open to hear our stuff. Some of the stuff that Ivory said is stuff that we said, but she honestly said as well that sometime it has to come from another woman and not us. They're just not prepared to be able to handle some truth coming from the male perspective or even a man. So I honestly appreciate what she did on our show, and I appreciate the gift that she has. And I think she's going to do major things when she, launches all her new publications. So, Mario.
I think that all y'all spoke or even touched at some point on what I felt. I think that you're right. It was a calm over the audience, and then I think that it was a blessing. That's what I'm going to say, to actually have a tranquil. That's a good word that you used. Conversation with understanding. See, I respect people when I ask them a question and they tell me I don't know, but then they give me their point of view, because I understand we don't know everything, but I'm always welcome to hear your point of view and not be combative or not dismiss or look for an answer to suit to win an argument. I think she handled herself eloquently in having a conversation and navigating for men. I'm just being real, because in these days you don't see that done by women on the big screen or in the public often, without them being angered or just being outright combative. So I want to say hats off to that, because I believe it was a lot of women watching, and if they did watch any show, that should be the show, because it showed a perfect example of how you talk to men, how you have a dialogue with men. 4 different men, 4 different attitudes, 4 different tones, and she sat right here and talked to all of us. All of us felt like men after we talked to her. I think that was a very important display of conversing, and I think that we don't see that much these days. So I got that from her, and when I went back and looked at the show, I said, man, I think that was a breath of fresh air. It should have been to the audience. Another thing I took from her is that she said, I asked her because we can see that she looks nice, and she's in Atlanta, and she's divorced. And when I asked her the question about her being married again, I seen the divine power in her voice of, yes, this is what I want. She didn't have a long list of, I want this man to be this, and this. She first started with herself saying, this is what I want, and I understand what I'm gonna have to do to get it. So I think that right there, women, when they look at that show and they look at her, and for her to be convenient and saying, "Nah, I don't need a man," when she probably could be the spokesperson for a woman to say, "I don't need a man," but she still is saying on a show full of men, like, or on her daily blogs, yes, I need a man, I want a man, and I'm gonna have a man. And I think that's a message that I was happy that she conveyed too. So I got a lot out of it, and I'm happy and looking forward to the next time that we talk to her.
Absolutely. I'm kind of ecstatic about our opportunity to go on her platform when she has her launch. So we got that on video. So we going on there, Ivory. Make sure we be like Martin. We went on the Barnell Hill show.
You gonna let me on?
You gonna let us on, Ivory? We coming on here. You promised us that we coming on that show. Hey, Wednesday, I believe, is the inauguration day. And we've done political shows, and we've talked about Donald Trump. We talked about Antifa, the Proud Boys. We talked about a whole lot. And a lot of people' main complaint with Trump was what he says. And it felt like the divisiveness of him. A president having access to social media to communicate instead of the former White House was a problem for most people that traditionally aren't used to that. But second of all, the last week after the Capitol was overtaken by different hate groups called the demonstrators, I want to say that Donald Trump was eliminated from all social platforms, even Pornhub, which the man's right to exercise shouldn't be taken away from him. So They took away his Twitter, which was one of the most dangerous things that people believe. I, however, want to highlight something, not on Trump's behalf, but want to highlight that America's always been told us to be to have freedom of speech. It's all about rights that you have as an American. Freedom of speech, freedom to demonstrate. There's so much that comes with it. So, and I only said this because I had a political conversation with one of my affiliates on Twitter, and he has a show, and they were saying like, F Trump, but the fact that they just were able to ban a president, like being able to censor a president, what do you think they'll be able to do to you? Now, we laugh at other foreign countries about them not having the right to do certain things. Certain countries won't allow their people to play Monopoly because it teaches capitalism. You have certain countries that everything's uniform. No one's going to be great because we're all going to dress the same, talk the same, have the same lives every day. So my point with the asking you guys about the ban on free speech is Trump was censored. And now you see on Facebook or different media outlets where you'll hear them remove a post and say this was something that went against our guidelines, or this was something that we believe fell in this group. Now, I observe that I don't often see stuff being removed because it has the N-word in it. But if you say something that it don't even have to attack gay culture, it could be something around that perimeter, it's getting removed. If you had the Black Panthers or different groups that teach empowerment or teach something about Black culture, being pro-Black, it's being removed. So I ask you guys, do you understand the importance of, or do even we notice with all these agendas going on, how they're using us to usher out the stuff that America's about, free speech? Because we whine about stuff. Donald Trump said this, Donald Trump said that. And I was sitting here saying, yeah, he said some stupid stuff, but you don't have to listen. That's for his audience over there. Because somebody can come back and say, I don't like what the Black Super Friends are saying. We want them banned. You know, IQ said you speak a little truth and people lose their damn mind. I'm starting to see that. Just seeing the world shift with the New World Order and all that. So not to go on a rant, I just want to ask you guys, what's y'all thoughts on speech being banned potentially due to us whining about every little thing in this country? Go to Mario first.
Well, first of all, I want to say that was great context that you gave, but I just have some interesting points I want to bring up too. If anybody don't know who these people are, you can tell. Go look them up. Alex Jones and Farrakhan were banned from YouTube on May 3rd, 2019.
Right.
Farrakhan was banned from that's Facebook and Instagram. I'm sorry. Farrakhan was banned from YouTube October 2nd, 2020. Neither one of those I heard of uproar. Okay. My uncle Luke, when I was a young lad, was banned and had to go all the way to the Supreme Court because he was banned. I didn't hear a global outpour. So I'm sorry. I don't have an outpour. And I understand you might say, well, dang, Mario Tudor just said it's not about Trump. But is it? Because the Constitution, it says the Congress cannot ban. The Congress didn't ban him. A private entity called Facebook, that's his entity. He says he doesn't want to have Trump on his thing. Trump can start his own thing right now and nobody can stop it. So I think right now, a lot of times we're saying ban. No, right now we're arguing for a person to let Trump say what he wants on their platform. Twitter is owned by somebody. It's not owned by the government. Facebook, Instagram, and all those outlets are owned by private entities. So if those private people, just like you have the right to work, like I don't have to hire somebody, or you don't have to talk to me on my job that I have for my company any kind of way, then the same thing should go for their company too. We can't give and take here. I don't think my employee gonna be able to say anything he wants to me and keep his job. That's just not gonna happen. So I want to bring that up too. He doesn't have a ban in America. He has a ban on private sector organizations. That's who's banning him. He can start a TV show, a YouTube, a Facebook, and say whatever he wants, and it will get broadcast as long as he has the funds to buy towers. So I just want to bring that up, and that's really all I got to say about that, because Trump not banned, and anybody who think that he is banned should have been the same people outraged when all the other Black leaders, as we spoke about earlier, was actually banned from these same outlets.
Yeah, well, I want y'all to think before I go to Zay, think about the fact that a lot of your stuff is being removed. A lot of stuff that you post is being removed. So, yeah, Black Planet, here we come.
Right.
Xavier,
Me and Mario are kind of like-minded in the same, because I was thinking the same thing. It is privatization. That's a private entity. Because I love Instagram and love the joke. I have been flagged and everything else for
deserve it.
things that I've said, jokes that I popped that they didn't think were funny. I thought they were hilarious. You understand? So that just goes to show that you still have your freedom of speech. You can say it, but you can't say it over here. So he can still say what he's saying, but it did, like Blue said, set a precedent because dang, as a president, like you choose now to ban him. Did he just start his senseless ranting? He didn't, and it was all cool and all well until it made the country look shameful, which I felt like it been shame on America for a long time with the outrage of things that have been going on. But now that it's Donald Trump, like Mario said, everybody's in an uproar. Who cares? He's been saying stupid stuff. It actually does me better because it's less negativity that we got to take in. It's been hilarious, but it's been negative nonetheless. So I cry me a river. What you got, Chris?
But I didn't really have much on this particular situation because I didn't look at it as a ban on free speech. I think it was a restriction put on a private platform. There's no, to me, I didn't look at it as any difference than, a dress code at a nightclub where they said, you can't wear sneakers in here. It's not that there's a ban on sneakers, is that they restricting the wear of sneakers in this particular club. As far as like what Hardy was saying, Farrakhan was banned. Most recently, Boosie was banned, and you see him crying about that. So again, we didn't make a big uproar about that. What I think is this: for us to address Horace's comment, for us, I don't know if he was meaning us as us four or us as black men. We need to create our own platform where we can deliver our own message at the same time. I mean, to all our people, because it doesn't stop him from emailing. It doesn't stop him from texting. It doesn't stop him from putting a camera in front of his face, sending it out to his minions, and then they blast it out. Similar to Farrakhan. Farrakhan may be banned, but his followers still pushes his agenda and still pushes message. I think it maybe is starting to speak a lot about his followers and how they feel. I want to know how they're going to feel when he turns his back on them. If he don't pardon them in a couple of days, those people are going to have to face persecution. So I think it speaks a lot more on that instead of the banning of free speech. Now I do agree with what Horace saying is if they need to define negligence or inflammatory speech, because the N-word is, I don't know what Trump said that doesn't hold the same magnitude as the N-word. So I think that they do need to have a better definition on inflammatory speech. So because I don't want call to actions being taken away from the internet, because again, if it wasn't for the internet, a lot of the protests for social injustice wouldn't have went on. So I would have to get a better understanding and a better definition on what they're considering inflammatory speech. But Horace, what you got? Finish it off for us.
No, what I want to say is keep in mind that this will turn into something else when I always talk about supremacy. What TV is programming, media is programming. So them banning Farrakhan, when Farrakhan turned into this smooth, wise person, you banned him when he started actually because the brother was dropping some stuff. That movement started increasing. Oh, we got to ban him. Almost like Quintel Pro. But that's a whole nother show talking about them being so scared of some black person coming that's gonna get us to start uniting because they're scared of that message. There's a good movie coming out about that soon. But I was going back to programming. You look at a lot of the old TV shows, man. It was controversial to a black person and white person kiss. But on that same episode, you heard N-word, N-word, N-word. I'm just saying now that we're so caught up on different things, we're not seeing America shifting and changing in front of our eyes. So I'll just be trying to highlight to show y'all, like, while we set on this is going to be affected by it. You know, it sets a precedent. So yeah, this world is just changing every day. So to Terrell, yes, it's a private platform and whatnot, right? But hell, when we've tried to get black media outlets, it's still they even have it set up where it's hard to get your own media outlet. Everything goes through that.
That's
So
why
Byron Allen, wasn't that Byron Allen?
That's why we should have
Right?
supported
Up
Byron
right?
Allen.
and when we talked about that,
you can support somebody right now. News One is on every day. Roland Martin. He takes donations. I watch it and let the phone just ride sometime just for spins. News One is on every day. That's a privately owned by a black man news show every day. So my point is, it's always a way. So you don't have to go on their part. Like when Chris said Bootsy was crying, he's right. Like, bro, at some point we got to stop saying they won't let us and say, hey, y'all, let's do our own.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like, because they still, to the top percent, that 3% of rich people in this world, they still only care about this.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, our money go spend too. So we can have a radio station too. Like Roland Martin has his own, but it's not, you don't hear about it. You don't hear LeBron James get up there and say, hey man, shout out to News One. You don't hear Tyler Perry, hey, shout out to News One. Right. You don't hear our own people once again saying, hey, shout out to News One. But you'll hear them shout out to ESPN, shout out to Fox News, shout out to News One. But that's another story too.
yeah, well, shout out to the Black Super Friends podcast because we own this. And if you're watching this on Facebook right now, it's only because we're streaming a link to Facebook. We got our own, and it starts there. So we could be the next News One.
Right, and that's but that was your one more thing, and that was your point. And I just want to say that was your point from the beginning. My point that this was intentional. Like we could have went through Zoom through one of those networks, but you was like, nah, bro, we're gonna start this and then in talks before we even stepped on this platform and any the brass out for anybody. It was like, nah, we got to make sure that we get somewhere we have ownership so we won't be censored by the masses and we can reach our people. So I think if we be intentional as black people on ownership, then we won't run into these roadblocks because they simple roadblocks that we have the equipment to get around nowadays. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Black Super Friends Network, I have started a pilot show every Thursday on Instagram, which is a sports show. We're not asking to be given a slot. We're gonna prove our weight, carry it, and then see if we get picked up by the Black Super Friends Network. But every Thursday night, the bench warmers. We see the game differently because we see the game from the bench.
Yeah. I want to address that comment. The reason I'm glad we took our approach, Mario, because you see what happened to Nick Cannon with Wildin' Out. And hell, that was his baby. And I think 14 seasons in before he even thought about trademarking it, he don't even own his own show that he built up. PJ Burns said, thought it wasn't the best way about going to the business. I've always thought it was dope that them damn dogs had their own radio station. But I recall back then they had an underground station. But it is hard to get a FCC license because there's only so many transmitters. Now it's different where they could probably go online and they might have all that now. But I remember when they originally did it, you know, they had the crowd, they had the market, but getting a 99.6 or whatever, that's business. That was something different. But ownership is always key because you can take it anywhere with you. Right. And hell, who's to say in 10, 15 years, our kids ain't having a podcast on the Black Super Friends Network, you know what I mean? So that's what it was built for. Last week, I think it was last week of the show before, we asked the ladies a question. I don't know what was inspired about that, but it was, I think it was we asked the females.
Makes you whole.
Could they feel complete
without a man?
Or was it marriage or was it a man?
No, it was complete without a man.
I think it was a mixture of both. I think some of us answer it in different contexts.
Right. But the form of the question itself was, would a woman be considered complete without a man? Or can they consider themselves complete without a man, if I'm not mistaken?
Okay. So I got to reverse it. It's only right, guys. Let me ask y'all a question to that extent. Do you think a man can be complete without a woman? Because see that question is too great for me. I'm gonna run wild with this one. Do you think a man can be complete without a woman? I'm gonna go to Chris, the phenomenal Leo first.
Well, okay.
We
Well,
asked the ladies, so
yeah, I guess it's only right. I think that men can survive without women. I think we're built to survive without women in all different terrains, all different situations. I think that's what we were created to. We can survive without women. But surviving ain't living, and life is for living. I don't think that you've lived until you experience a woman. I don't think you haven't lived until you have loved a woman. Like if you don't understand how it feels to have to lose basically all control of your emotions, and you have to constantly monitor it. It's easy when you don't have a woman. You don't have to do that. But when you're in love or when you love a woman, it consumes you a lot. That's why a lot of us suffer in early and later in life because of the situations that happened to us when we were young, when we fell in love. So if you never experienced loving a woman, you can't consider yourself complete. And and also to add on to that, if a woman haven't loved you, if you haven't experienced a woman love, I mean a true experience of a woman love, then you're missing out. Like you completely missing out. It can be the most inspirational thing in the world. You if loved properly, there's nothing a man can't accomplish. I don't believe. If when a man feels loved, especially by a woman that he also loves, it gives him every ounce of energy that he needs. It gives him every ounce of motivation that he needs. It just does something differently to you. The touch of a woman changes things for you. So at the end of the day, man, no, I don't believe that you can be complete. I believe that you can survive without a woman, but surviving ain't living, and living and you ain't living until you ain't living without a woman. It just doesn't make sense. So for that, I have to say no. I say no. And why would you want to even experience everything this life has to offer? It's better to experience it with a woman. So no. Mari, what you think?
Okay, well, you know that I was born and raised in biblical sense of a Christian. I'm a Christian, so you know my morals and my life is scoped after the Bible and the beliefs. That's what I do. So I always say this: that I believe God created the world. Let me just start saying that. I believe God created Adam and everything in it. But then in Genesis, the second chapter, in the beginning of the 18th verse through the 24th, he explains that he had created everything in the world, even a man. So that means a man can live without a woman, like Chris alluded to. He can live without a woman. I mean, he can. What you said, Chris?
He can
He can
survive.
survive. He can be without a woman, but live he cannot because God Himself said it in the 18th verse. I feel it's not right for a man to be without a woman. A man, I don't want to paraphrase. Let me just go to it. The Lord said, "It is not good for a man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." So God Himself said it's not good. So if He said it's not good, I have to concur with the good Lord Himself. I cannot live because it's know why? It would not be good for me to not have a woman. And in my younger days, I took that literally, and I felt like Drake. I hate sleeping alone, so I stayed wandering through the bushels of many women. But then I understood in a couple more verses when it went down to say, when you find it the woman, you find it's a good thing, and I have done so. And I understood that I don't want to live. Now I've reached to the plateau where I don't want to live without a woman. So I believe exactly what Chris said. I believe you can be. I believe you can exist. But I don't believe you can actually live the life that God intended for you without the woman He created to make your life better. Now, what do you have, Mr. Tootie?
yeah. Well, I'll be hoarse. Hey, listen, Listen, I went back and forth with that question. It's like I don't know why. Almost like we just came up with the question, but it's been there all the time. Do I think a man can be complete? No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be in the audience with Mario and say no. We love women. I love women. I don't understand people that don't love women. And I love my sisters. Boy, I love me a woman. That's why when God created man, he walked around that tree about 4 times. He like, hey, nah, bro, sup? Like, he like, I gotta do something because yeah, he gonna get in some mischief. So let me create this woman for this man. Do a man
anyway
without a woman? No. In fact, kings have more than one. We can't get enough. Give me a harem.
Man, he can afford.
God said love and reproduce. And that's what I would do if the government would let me loose. So no, I don't think you can feel complete without a woman because you're created to love a woman and to be with a woman. And one of the best things on this earth is having you a woman. So I don't think I can feel complete. If it was I'd probably jump off a cliff if it was a whole world of nothing but you Negroes. Me and a bunch of men, I would go mad. I don't understand this creator. What is the sense of this? Nah, I'm out, dog. I'm going upstairs. So
give you liberty or give you death.
I check me out like, nah, this ain't it. This is not the beat. What's the purpose of being here? Nah, dog, take me out of here.
Damn.
I'll be like Killmonger. Throw me off the ship. Zay.
Oh man, y'all all brought forth some great points. I was thinking about it per the conversation we had with Ivory. Like, yeah, a man needs to complete himself first, but at the end of that rainbow, once he completes himself or does his assessment, woman is the next thing that we need to conquer for us to feel like I've arrived. Other than that, like Horace said, what am I doing here? And why the hell am I here? Get me out of this place. Because this can't be it. It got to be something on the other side. So my final answer is going to be with my brothers. A man can't be complete. For the women on the segment that we had that say that they could be complete without a woman, please tell me how. I mean, without a man, please tell me how. I don't get it. But
they will show you. I promise you. They will show you.
Batteries die. You know what I'm saying? You need somebody, a companion, like our good Ivory Chill said. You need a companion.
No. If you
or batteries are forever too.
If you don't need one, you should die without one.
The words of the great doctor, aka King Chris. You're absolutely correct, and I concur. For all those that say that they don't need one, I hope God grant your wish.
That surely do.
Listen, without women, back in BC times, you would see a bunch of men running straight into caves and straight into the side of walls, and only men can understand that ideology.
I think God knew. Not to derail, but I think God knew they was gonna start that rhetoric. That's why He created more of them than us. So the ones who strayed like lost sheep, out in the wilderness by themselves. We are not. Here's the thing, my brother. We're not supposed to go get them. Let them wander, and then care after the sheep that you have.
Yes, and I am a great shepherd.
You know what I'm saying? You can't lose all the good sheep chasing after the sheep that don't want to be ruled by the shepherd.
Let them go to the slaughter. It's a wolf farm. I swear.
Yeah. Listen, I live my life on one premise, and I revise it. You know, there's a lot of fish in the sea, but ain't nothing like that snapper.
Heard Kobe is pretty good.
Yeah. No more to that for me.
I was thinking that notion.
Yeah.
Catfish.
And I want that.
Nah, you don't want catfish. It's problems.
Yeah. Listen, guys, I want to go back to one thing when we close out. Having Ivory come on the show, man, we talked about depression. We talked about a few different things, and everybody had some great questions for Ivory. But I want to speak today on one thing. What are triggers? And I want to go back and see how I formed the question to you guys, because that's the most important part. You know what I mean? So give me a second, and my apologies, guys, for not being on point. Our triggers. How are you facing them as a man? And I want to actually go and give the definition of trigger in mental health terms. A trigger refers to something that affects your emotional state, often significantly by causing extreme overwhelm or distress. So us growing up, we're taught to be tough, don't cry, be like a man. And now we in this mental health era, we're realizing that there are certain things that happen to us that cause us to act the way we do. Or this is the reason where I might act like this towards women, or this is the reason where I might act like this on a job, or it's affecting me as a husband, it's affecting me as a father. Those are things. There's something that happened to you at some point that you may have not properly grieved, you may have not properly resolved. It's a conversation that you failed to have. We've all had things that we've had to overcome. I always say that everyone has their cross to bear, and we've been carrying it for a while. Last week on a show that I did on one of my parent shows, I had a trigger come out, and it was a trigger. We were talking about my dad and growing up, and when I talk about it, I can be good, and I start feeling emotions. You know what I mean? Uh, y'all had a relationship with my dad, but it's just my dad would give me dap and whatnot. So, and I had some childhood traumas that I just had to really face. So I don't know what you guys had to overcome to be the great men that you are right now. But how are you handling those triggers, or what are those triggers that you've had to overcome, and how did you recognize them? I know I'm asking a lot, but I really want to get into that because we have people that see us out and say, man, they might not comment, but they be like, oh, I heard what Mario said last show. Oh, bro, Chris said something, man. I'm going through the same thing, man. I ain't know. So this show really is breaking down a lot of walls and showing that it's okay to be transparent. It's okay to have these conversations because the key for us is to grow and evolve and to eliminate some of those sins that we've carried on generation to generation. So when I talk about triggers, I want to go to Chris first. Chris, how are you overcoming them? Have you recognized them? What do you think about triggers? You're a professional. You're on mute.
My bad. Got man, I have several triggers. Like I'm like a emotional mental garbage dumpster. I have so many triggers. I think that
Roller coaster,
one of
my
my
brother. Roller coaster.
yeah one of my number one triggers is perceived disrespect, and I think that comes from as a child I was shy. So with that, I was passive on a lot of things, and as I became a man, I felt that there was something that I despised about me, about my character. So it's to the point now where I never want to go back to that. So anytime I perceive a potential disrespect, I completely, it triggers me. I snap at it because I never want to revert back to a shy guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the main triggers of mine. Just the whole disrespect. And what you were saying about father, I also agree with that because I had that triggers me too. I remember about my father. I never met my father ever. Never seen him. I remember when I graduated high school, and I think I was maybe a year out of high school. I was told that his father died, right? So I said, and we're from Mississippi. So I said I was gonna buy a ticket, go to Mississippi. I get to see my father because my auntie told me that my father would actually be there. So I get the ticket, and at the time I was in a relationship with my first girlfriend. She was going to FAMU. I took that bus trip all the way to FAMU because I said I wanted to kind of kill two birds with one stone. I said I was going to drive up. I was going to catch the bus to Tallahassee. When I get there, I was going to make a phone call to Mississippi to make sure because um, this was before
Cell phone.
like cell phones and things like that, and so you can't just take a bus to Mississippi and on the whim. So I get to Tallahassee and I make that phone call. I call and I say, I say, hello, my name is Chris. My mother is named Viola, and I was always told that Odell Smith was my father. and I heard that he would be at this funeral. So someone says, hold on, and the guy gets on the phone, and he says, and I tell him the same thing. Hey, my name is Chris. My mother's name Viola. I've never in my whole life been told by anyone that another man was my father besides Odell Smith. And I wanted to, you don't owe me anything. I'm over 18, and I just wanted to, have a relationship. That man then told me that my mother told him that he wasn't the father. So at that point, that triggered so much from me, because I felt like a kid that no man wanted. You know what I'm saying? So in that situation, it did so much in my life. It made it affected women, my interaction with women later on, because I go into situations with women with a lack of trust because I've heard that. And then I have a slight resentment for my mother because you made a decision to tell a man that, which I can't even blame a man, because at the end of the day, that would be something tough to hear. I understand that would be something tough to hear. And it would be tough to ask a man to continue after that once you said that to him. So with all that being said, it's like, those are the things that triggered me in relationship, the previous shyness, and the way I dealt with women in that way. The whole, knowing that my mother probably said something to this man that ended a possible relationship. So all of those things are triggers. So I mean, I can go on and on and on, but so when I say I'm crazy, that's what I be meaning. Like, this is just a fraction of the things that I truly have to go through. So, like I said, those are some of my childhood triggers. The shyness that I had to deal with, the awkwardness when it comes to women. That's why you get to date doctor now. The lack of trust when it comes to women. So just a lot of things. So I'm glad we brought this up, just so I can, I can start to understand, because I do self introspection a lot. So I kind of understood it, but this is the first time I actually said it. So I'm gonna go to Mario, because y'all ain't finna have my allergies acting up tonight.
No, but
and I ain't cutting no onions for you, Horace.
But you know what's real though, Chris? Before we go to Mario, that's when you recognize that. Look how the way you are with your daughter, bro. I walked away from my dreams because I was like, my kids would never experience what I went through, my pain.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, people don't understand. People have no clue about having to say bye to something that you truly loved. Like, you don't. I love music. That was one of my number one things. That was like the one of the things before I had a child. That was one of the things I actually could say I loved. And it wasn't until I met my child until I figured out I love something different. I love something else, and something that was more important to me. So at the same time, it's like, once that happened to me, it's like I had to give that up to try to be a father. And then you try to be a father, and you're coming from a situation where you have to start. It's basically, you got to start all over again. You haven't worked for a long time. You was doing things that you didn't supposed to do illegally for a long period of time, from 20 to 30. That's what I did. So you got to, from now at 30 years old, you got to reset everything. You got to completely reset everything, learn how to work a 40-hour job, because I hadn't had a 40-hour job until then, and just learn how to make do on a certain amount of money, a set amount of money. When you're used to having money and different influence on people and things like that, all that stuff was a drug. So man, I can go on and on, man. I just, like I said, I'm gonna let Mario go, because I think there's something wrong with the ducks in my house, and I don't want the congestion to start and nothing like that.
Hey man, we having a real moment, Mario.
Well, I think mine gonna be shocking, because my biggest trigger of mine was watching women in my life navigate their life. I grew up, my mom was like super strong, like super duper strong. You know, my mama, she's the happiest, nicest lady and the hardest working woman all in one, and was strict. But she loved everybody. Everybody could come over, but and even in life, through most of my life growing up, my daddy was never there. So I never had a man in. My uncles was there. Men came in and out. Thank God for them. You know what I'm saying? I moved to a neighborhood when I was younger. We had a whole nice men presence where like men kind of like gave to me and stuff like that. And that was good too. But then I seen this. I seen my cousins who were older than me manipulate and play men a lot. Like I seen it. I seen my aunts, some of them, like, can honestly a man be like giving they all to them, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I don't care about him, and I don't vote with him." And then these are people who I loved, who I felt like were super women. So I seen them go to this dude and be like, "Yeah, I don't care about him," and then go to another dude and love him, and he ain't doing nothing. So I used to be like, "Man, this is crazy how you can be trying to do your best for a woman." And these are what I call good women. These weren't hoochies. These weren't like no run-of-the-mill women. So I used to be like, dang, even women who are respectable women could manipulate and play you if their heart is not in it. And until I got ready to be married, I never understood I was holding that because I was scared to be vulnerable. Because I always felt like I didn't want to be that guy. So I was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can in my life to not be the guy that get used and abused by women. And I didn't take it to know, oh, this is a good woman, because I seen both of them do it. I seen some of my friends who were promiscuous, like older women who was in the club do it, but I seen women in church. I grew up in church who was with this deacon, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, damn, what? So is it no women? You know what I'm saying? So I had like maybe 2 women in my life who I felt like these are solid ass women, but they are like on the top of the spectrum of great. Like my auntie Sharon, anybody like that's just like, I don't even think that they make women like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just, so for me to even try to look for that is like crazy because of who she is, just so selfless. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, man. And I think a lot of time in my life, even though my mama was pouring into me and she was doing this stuff to me, and I knew that I wanted to be a husband because I never wanted a woman to go through what my mama went through. I never wanted that. I felt like she was a good woman. So I always felt like the biggest honor, my mama had attained a lot. She bought her own house. She paid for her school. I had Jordans. I never missed nothing. So I seen all that, but I did see her with lonely nights. I see her working 3 jobs. And I said, as a man, I was created to make sure that another little girl never have to go through that. And I promise that if she treat me half as good as my auntie Sharon treat my uncle, that I'm going to find it. But in the midst of me meeting women, I was just so like, the minute something like Chris said, like I felt disrespect or I felt any kind of way that you were going to play with me, I understood the game and learned it at a different rate. Like I understood that men hold the key. I started studying like what make a man a man? Why do women like these kind of men? So I became that kind of man. I got in the gym. I got more money. I did the stuff that it took to be this kind of man so that I can dictate what kind of woman I want. But then it came to the point I fell in love. And then when I fell in love, I was like, dang, I can't do this for the rest of my life. So now I have to walk into vulnerability. But like Chris again, my father wasn't there. So now I don't have a man to tell me how to make that transition from a male, a boy, to a man that knows how to be vulnerable around his wife and be a protector too. So now I'm misguiding and I'm misleading women and I'm overstepping sometimes, understepping sometimes, and I'm really fumbling through relationships, trying to find my way to get to the point where I can blend being a protector, a provider, and being vulnerable enough to say, I need you. Like to actually tell a woman, I need you in my life. That was so hard for me. But when I did do it, and I finally did, I tell you no lie, it was like a brick, a load of bricks that released off my life. Me and Chris had a conversation right before I was going to get married. Here, like, bro, like, do you know that you're doing all of this, and she could just leave and do this and do this and this? And I was like, that's the price of love. I'd rather go through 10 hurt hearts to really understand what this love I got feels like. And I'm so happy that overcame, because so many men who grow up in the hood, who go through all this trauma, that one step, what women be asking for is that vulnerability, just to feel needed. Like that's a real bridge to cross that men don't understand, because we don't want to be taken advantage of on no level. Because in the hood, it teach you the softer people get walked over. That's in every aspect of life. And I think that me understanding that, and I thank God so much that I overcame that, because if I hadn't, I think I would have always been playing the field. I would have always secured my bet. And that's why I see a lot of men out here, they always keep one on the side, they keep one here. And it's not that they just want to treat these women any kind of way, but they understand they don't have full of trust in the woman, and they don't want to be the guy that gets ran over. And understanding that I had to walk into that point where I might have to be that guy to get Eve. I'm okay with it. I just thank God that I really I'm working through that trauma right now. What you got, Zay?
Let Horace go, and then I'm gonna clean it up. If that's all right. Yo, Horace.
Turn your mic on. You are a professional.
Listen, when we first started doing these shows, man, we had an idea, but many of these shows have become therapy for us. I say it all the time. We've had major moments on this show, man. We didn't have daddies. We didn't have blueprints. I was in front, like I was a little bit older, and I ain't had nobody to teach me. Most of the shit I learned was through trial and error. A lot of moments were totally embarrassed, but I was able to be that gap for y'all to be like, nah, don't do that. Trust me, don't do that. I was able to come back and say, hey, do it, try this way. This is what happened, worked for me. But it took a whole lot of bumps on the road because I didn't have not one person in front of me to say, do anything. Hell, my daddy, when it came to, I asked my dad one day, I was like, hey, Dad, how to use a rubber? He said, any a-hole can put on can use a rubber. Okay, so you're not going to show me? All right. I was an a-hole that night. I mean, I went through 3 in 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Didn't have a daddy. So similar to Chris, growing up shy, feeling abandoned. You know what I mean? There was no one in my age range. I was before y'all guys. Everybody's doing their thing. Hell, nobody take me to get a haircut. You look at all the old pictures, I'm looking busted. Yeah, bro. So I said it because last week we had a show with Ivory. I had a show with Black Conversation. I broke down, man, because I had a daddy. I had been abused. So I work hard for my kids now. Because like I said, I don't never want them to go through what we went through. And that's the purpose, is to go from generation to generation, break them chains, man. I realized that a father passes down pain to his kids. My granddad was a provider. He didn't give no love. He provided like a mofo. And my dad learned that's what a man is. He was awful as a dad. He was awful as a husband. So, hell, when I was in music, man, I was making money, but I think every time I've been successful was probably the most loneliest times of my life. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about triggers because, bro, even when we was doing wrong, like it was, people call us gangs and stuff like that, but we was just a bunch of young men trying to be better. Figure it out. So we talk about triggers, but I know somebody watching. We've had homeboys that committed suicide. We've had homeboys that's on drugs now because we always been taught to be tough and suck it up, and we put on this front for each other, man. But bro, we've had some hard lives. It's okay to be we got to break those stereotypes, like what stays in this house. We got to get away from that. I walked away from my dreams to be a good father, but I also walked away from relationships not realizing I had abandonment issues. I'm gonna leave before she leave me. You know what I mean? Because I can't stand that rejection. I can't stand that hurt. So it's real, dog. Go ahead, ladies band.
I gotta y'all gonna pray for me and work with me because I'm probably the last one of all of us to kind of hit trauma or recognize that of the trauma. And we talked about it. I remember a conversation me and you, Horace, we had when I was in the midst of all the trauma that I was going through. And you was like, Zay, that's an awful story. And I know you were saying that because you were shocked at some of the things that I said, that you were right there by me. You never even knew because I never said anything about it, which I didn't know how to. You know what I'm saying? I kind of sat on it like Chris said. Chris defined it as shyness, right? I just, because of my background, my parents, you don't do no disrespect. You don't talk back. So I was never ever a dummy. I seen what was going on, but I was taught to never say anything. You see what I'm saying? Keep your head down and kind of stay in line. So that's why when we spoke about that last time, that was the direction in which I went, because like Chris, I ain't with that. I'm probably the most hated because I'm gonna ask a question. You can't just tell me this the way that it is and I go by that. Understand what I'm saying? So what I've learned with my trauma is addressing it, recognizing it first, like, you know what, that makes me feel away, and then addressing it. I'm gonna ask questions because I want to know. I'm a firm believer in I can't get where I'm gonna go in life if I don't know where I'm coming from. If I agitate you because I want to know the truth, then so be it. You understand what I'm saying? I too, you just can't just tell anything. I've been vulnerable too long. Hell with being vulnerable. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm more outspoken, and it's crazy because individuals who know me from the street be like, oh, they say whatever's on his mind. He don't have no filter or whatever the case may be. For a lot of years, I did. You see what I'm saying? Things, and it's crazy because I didn't even recognize it. That was the funniest thing. So I think me and Mario talked last when I was like, bro, the things that happened to me is no different than things that have happened to other people in life. I think that I just hit that curve a little later, and it shocked me because I went through life feeling that life was a certain way, and I came to find out I got a rude awakening, matter of fact, that it ain't like that. You understand what I'm saying? So to speak to you, Chris, with your father's situation, right? It's the reason why you're the father that you are. I recognize that inside myself. I recognize that inside my brother. Don't get me wrong. I love my father to death. Anyone's ever heard me say a bad thing about my father. Just confusion as far as not understanding why an individual who planted a seed didn't water that seed in order for it to flourish. See what I'm saying? So I can align myself with you, Horace, when you say that your grandfather was a provider, and you know that cycle went down to your father, because I was there with you for that conversation about the being the asshole with the rubber. We were really thinking that we were asking a smart question, but we got met with that. You know what I'm saying? And he probably didn't say anything wrong with it. But the point that I'm making is that's their ceiling, and that's what I've come to learn doing my own shadow work, so to speak. That they didn't do anything wrong. They were doing the best that they can do. They were learning the same way that we were learning. You understand what I'm saying? I just realized that we today are more in tune with our kids' feelings because of what we endured growing up. You understand what I'm saying? Um, I can countless events, whether it be basketball games, football games, hell, down to my graduation. My father was not there. Why? Because he was working. Who was there? My beautiful mother, my beautiful sister. See what I'm saying? The ladies, like Mario said, always being strong. And it's not fair to them because when it comes time for them to be vulnerable, they don't know how to be vulnerable. So they have the same situation you have, Mario, in reverse. And I too, like you said, I joke around, I call myself the ladies man. And it's really, really funny to me to hear ladies go, oh, Zay, you're a dog, you're a womanizer, you're this, all these connotations that they made up in their head. I never told anything of the sort. Ladies man comes from, I was the only boy in the house full of ladies. My mom, my cousin, my older cousin, who was slash a sister, because we're islands. So we all grew up in the same house. So I got to see women operate from the inside. So I think that I understand women more so than any one of my counterparts on this show right now. So that's the reason why I dub myself the ladies man. But inside of that, like I said, it made me, like I said, face it, ask questions, and do certain things with my daughter because I don't ever want her to have to go through what I went through. I look at it now and I see that I'm a strong individual, but it ain't easy. You understand what I'm saying? I said what I said last time because I know that there's somebody else who's probably gone through the same thing that I have, and hopefully through me, you can learn something or even ask me a question because I'm very open. Sometimes I'm probably too open. So I'll be real with you guys about that. But again, like I said, my focus and what I've been doing to try to fix that is make sure that with my daughter, that I'm hands-on with her, that I'm teaching her, be straightforward, ask what you need to ask within reason, don't be disrespectful, but speak your mind. I did. And it was because, like I said, my heritage, and the craziest part about everything, like I said, I wasn't a dummy by a long shot. You understand what I'm saying? But if anybody know anything about island family members, if you're not a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, you're good for nothing. And as smart as I was, those were never things that I wanted to ever do. So the support on whatever it is that I wanted to do, I never got because I wasn't going the direction in which my father or my mother probably saw fit for me. My contribution to my daughter is whatever the hell she wants to do. I got you, as long as you're making a concentrated effort toward it, not just some pie in the sky deal. I'm going to give you the support I didn't get and hope to kind of break that chain and that curse. But I'm also going to do things that like teach. I'm going to walk through things with her and explain why daddy's doing the things that he's doing so she don't have them questions, and also make that open door kind of relationship where you can ask me whatever it is, because dad is going to be as honest with you as possible so that you don't have these limitations or these conflicts that I have. And I try not to make any more ripples in the water for her that I had to get. And I think that's the main. Other than that, like I said, you guys probably hit on everything else that we've gone through. Fathers being there but not really present because they didn't really show us because they weren't shown, and just making sure that we, with our women, learning how to be vulnerable so that we can get to that wholeness that we were talking about. Because at the end of the day, we all just need it.
Well, listen, I'll go on to Chris.
Go ahead.
Listen, you know what's interesting, man? I got to give, and you got to, in retrospect, I got to give credit to my ex-wife because I was probably 40, man. Think about how many of us men, we still trying to figure it out. We're still trying to learn who we are. But the day-to-day struggle don't stop. We being a provider, we paying the bills, we trying to keep roof over our heads and all this. I was 40 before I learned about love languages. You know what I mean? So any lady watching, you got a guy, talk to him because he might not know. Like, once a man feels safe with you, he will get into that spot where he's open to learn more about himself, more about different things. I didn't know hear about love languages, and this conversation was foreign. You didn't have nobody talking about mental health until the last couple of years. We used the word crazy. Oh, he crazy. So the purpose of talking about triggers tonight is like Chuck Hunter in the comments, man, bro. We have had something that we call PTSD. We've had a lot, man. Me and Zay have been where we seen one of our best good friends get shot in the head in front of me. Like, we've had some real ass moments being black men in America, So I commend y'all for that, man. But that's why I wanted to have this segment, because it's helping us, but y'all also helping others, man. I know Chris' story. Hell, every day we were together like our gang, like the Little Rascals. You know what I mean? Figuring life out. But we had each other. And I think that's what the blessing that God gave us, that we have a story that most people don't have. Chris.
Well, like I say, man, I want to talk to Zay because and you said it too. You keep on saying how the past reflecting my parenting now, but it also has a negative effect because I feel a lot of times because I recently had a conversation, a text conversation with my baby mama, on FaceTime with my daughter, and she tells me that her uncle was, so a man gets to the camera and he tells me that that was her uncle. And then later on, my baby mama texts me and saying that wasn't her uncle, that was her boyfriend's father. But my daughter lied to me about it. So she did say that she thinks that I've told my daughter something to make her lie. Now, in my defense, I said, well, I think it should be best for you to address it as did I say something, instead of saying that I said something. Mm-hmm. And like I said, in my defense, I've never spoke ill towards about my child's mother's relationship. I think that's grown people's stuff. So I would never say nothing to my child. Next, not only that, if the success or the failure of that relationship, I don't want to be a part of it. So whatever it be, I don't want it to be because of me. So I think that, but I also have to be honest with myself that even though the father I am, I be feeling like something being taken away from me, and that's like the only thing that I have is my daughter. That's how I feel about life. That's like the only thing I truly have. Because I have family, but we're all separate, and then we're grown. And so now, as a man, I have to direct my intentions to my daughter. So in that situation, it feels like almost like somebody's taking something from me. So that's when I get a level of defensive. But then I also have to understand that I cannot let that interfere with my baby mama's relationship. So it's a thin line, man. Like how it could be a benefit to parenting because it made me feel as though I have to be there. I would never put her in a situation where she don't say that she has a father, or I'll never tell her something like that, make her go through life like that. But at the same time, it has a negative effect because now it's hard for me to navigate that relationship. I stay out of it. I'll never speak ill towards another man. I don't even waste my precious time with my daughter to speak on other men. But obviously, it has an effect on my daughter. So, man, like I say, man, it's a emotional dumpster over here. So, I'm glad we had this conversation though.
Mario, you got something in closing?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, another, I almost kind of pick back off what Chris just said. Like the traumas that I displayed, that I just told y'all about in my marriage now, I'm calling it, and I make sure that my son now don't see, like he see loving. Like I believe that it made me a better man. Like I come in the house, I hug his mama more. Like I kiss her more because I didn't see that growing up. Like I tell him I love him more because I love Jayla with all my heart. But I was so like worried about trying to get through life and trying to make sure she don't become a stripper and make sure I have enough money when she get ready to go to college because she was just flourishing. A lot of times I probably needed to tell her more that I love her, like continuously, like just like hug more, like I do it now. You know what I'm saying? A lot as she got older, but I'm just saying now it made me a better husband. That's what I'm trying to say. Like when I kind of got over that, that's what it made me. So I say that I'm glad we had this show too. And I'm always say that, as I get through my life right now and lean on all of y'all, I'm happy that not only we had this show, that we have every show. Because sometimes Monday I walk into this tired, not wanting to do it some Mondays. And then now I'm seeing that I didn't get called on this show for my benefit. I got called on this show for a deeper calling than what I ever was expecting. I'm thinking it's just going to be a podcast, but I see so much more coming out of this podcast. And I'm happy to be a part of it with all y'all.
Yeah. I just walked in, I just got off a flight. So I feel it today. You know what I mean? But again, like her comment, knowing a person you're interested in insecurities, triggers, and love language is important. Here's why it's important. And here's why I suggest that everybody do therapy once. Even if you say you don't, go to a therapist once. Because a lot of times with the PTSD and the breakdown of the Black family in our urban communities, most men and women don't have a mother or a father. You know what I mean? Or it's been some molestation, teen pregnancy, absent mother, adopted. Like those things do play a part in your adulthood. So you get into a relationship with somebody later on. Yeah, you need to really impact it because it affects the way that you love. You know what I mean? A man that I put it like this. I hated my grandfather so much till I was in a relationship one time and became him. Subconsciously, I became him. Almost like the guy, like I provided and all that, but I was an asshole. And I had to go back and apologize to one of the kids, my who I was dating kid, like, brother, I love you. Like, I want to be there for you. But like, damn, I just became the person that I was scared. I was afraid of. But we never are taught to focus or evolve. Like we're doing it, but hell, we spend most of our young adult life being taught to go after as many skirts as possible. Then a couple time in life, now they want you to be responsible. You might be in your damn 30s before you try to figure out how to be a man and a better man and a responsible person for more than one person. So I think that was the purpose, man, because I had a friend that committed suicide and I understood it. I felt it because on paper he had everything. The man he didn't have it. I'll tell y'all, money ain't crap. Money is not it, boy. Money will give you more problems than anything. what's valuable is when I admitted to y'all I had depression and almost a whole year. And I was angry at y'all because I felt like nobody saw it. When I gotta be mad at myself for not coming out of me like, bro, I need y'all. A lot of people have them type of conversations inside. They don't have the courage to be like, bro, I'm messed up. Zay went through some last year with his dad. He's still going through it every day. So people see me and see something they perceive, but I don't talk to people. Y'all know me. All of y'all have very unique stories that y'all overcame, and most people, it would have broke most people down.
Mm.
Y'all had, bro, we've had some of us had some effed up parts of our lives. You know what I mean? I didn't have a daddy to say, go to college, do this and that. I was so lonely that I went and had a child and started a family with somebody I absolutely should not have even dated. And for 18 years of my life, I was in hell, but still trying to be that daddy. Get off work, run to the practice, go like, you know what I mean, taking care of two homes. So I said all that to say, man, for somebody that's watching, like, boy, this fake world will tear your ass up. You know what I mean? Let it go. I've been crying more this year than my whole life and on air. You know what I mean? Because it's in there. It's in there,
Allergies,
bro.
man.
Huh?
Your allergies.
Bro,
Vouching for you.
I broke down another week and I didn't care. I didn't care because I'm like, bro, I ain't saying be a sugar cookie. I'm saying, bro, we've been carrying on some stuff, man, that you have to at some point unpack because it is wearing you down. And once you get to a point where you can say it's not my fault,
Yep.
life gets better, dog. Life get better, man. Closing comments. I'm going to Zay first.
Listen, I always thank y'all for giving us the opportunity to share what's on our hearts with y'all again, as we said in the beginning. Or like Mario just relayed to y'all. This podcast is more than us just having this normal conversation that we have anyway. We're actually conduits, you know what I'm saying, in which something comes to us, it touch our spirit, we put it out there in the universe for y'all. For those that it hit, you're welcome. For those that missed it, it wasn't for you. It's okay. Maybe a different episode. It's all right. But at the end of the day, we still welcome y'all. We thank y'all for the comments, the insights, the support, the good things, and we also thank y'all for the cattiness too. Because you know what, it makes for a good episode, and we like it because we like that you guys come in and support us. It's something that we probably didn't get, and we're getting it now. So thank you for tuning in to the Black Super Friends podcast. What about you, Chris? What you got?
Well, yeah. I want to say again that this is Martin Luther King Day, and I think that we should look at men as he did, or as he told us to do. Look, judge
Yes,
men not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
yeah.
Judge men not by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. A man is who a man is who his character, who he's made of. So again, like I'm gonna say it over and over again. If you're picking a man in the picking process, the number one thing should be the content of that man character. But I thank you guys for watching. As it was an emotional show, and thank you for allowing me to share that.
Super Mario Senior.
Yeah, I don't have too much. I think this show was necessary. I'm gonna say that again. I think a lot of times we get up in the morning, we know we got a Monday show, and then we like, well, okay, we're gonna talk about these topics. And I think we all kind of knew what triggers meant, but I think the impact. I know everybody's story on this show. You know what I'm saying? But then just to hear it and see how it still affects y'all, it just made me reinforce the point that that's why I call so much. And that's why I tell y'all that I love y'all and that we got to be, that us being better means so much more than us getting the benefit from us being better, because this is a participation of being better. Like being transparent is being better. And I'm proud of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm proud that we've taken this step to get to a point right now where just as masculine in the same way we navigated through the mean streets of Rivera, that now we navigated through life and our emotions and tearing down walls that's gonna bring us to be even better. And I believe in years to come, we're gonna look back at these shows and see how it's just so much. It's just gonna be so much better, and see how far. I can't wait to look at this 10 years from now and say, man, look how broke we was, and look how far we done came. And I'm just happy to be here. Tune in next Monday.
True.
Yeah, the most awesome thing about it, we talked about it, and we did it. This year was about, again, not being arrogant, thinking we got tomorrow. We got today. And today, we doing the Black Super Friends podcast. Stop talking about what you about to do and do it. Whether you look at Gary V, whether you look at some other, you look at the Date Doctor, man, there's messages like people motivating you with this. With so much crap on the internet, there's some good on the internet. You know what I mean? Whatever you're going through is somebody with a message that can really help you navigate through life. Seeing Chuck in the comments tonight, that's a blessing, bro, because I know that, you know what I mean, having these private conversations with your homeboys, man, bro, crack destroyed a lot of homes. Private prisons destroyed a lot of homes. And, man, we were the products of those things. So, you know, we see some of our buddies out and about now. Time wasn't friendly to them. You know what I mean? Everybody, you know, we have our different paths that we go down on. We go down. So, you know, that's why I commend y'all for being who y'all are. All right. This episode was brought by our friends in Broward County. The sponsor for this show was Kwame's Pawn Shop. Whether it's hot or not, bring me what you got. Kwame's Pawn Shop. Home of a $5 buyback.
Drop it like it's hot.
Well, we don't care if it's stolen. Just bring it in. We got you. The $5 buy. You don't want nothing but $5 anyway. So Kwame said, bring me what you got. All right. You're going to love that when you see it. Hey, Monday Night Raw. We're going to keep doing special shows. We did a show this week with Ivory Shields. Next week, see who's going to be the guest. But I think those have been our best shows since we start doing this on our network. So, hey, man, tune in next week. And please, if you have a topic, send it to us. We're ready to do it. If you have a show idea, send it to us because we about to blow up. So we will see y'all next week. Thank you for joining in. And there's always a comment that come in the end, private chat, brand. I'll be trying to get everybody comments. Thank you for joining in. See y'all. Peace.